Okay, you are welcome, the Executive Governor of Bauchi State, Mr. Nur Sani. Can you please properly introduce yourself, your manifesto, and your presentation in 10 minutes?
Okay. Good day, fellow Nigerians. I am, by name, Comrade Nur Sani Magaji, the Executive Youth Governor-elect representing Bauchi State. And I am a graduate of sociology from the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. I have served in several capacities in the youth movement and student unionism. And also, I am presently the state chairman of Anchor Mind. In my manifesto, I have a vision for Nigeria in the near future. My vision for Nigeria is a united, peaceful, and prosperous Nigeria where everyone have access to quality education, healthcare, and economic opportunity. A nation where our diverse culture are celebrated and respected, will be treated with dignity and respect. A nation where we will answer our names, Nigerians. I want to restore that dream of my fellow Nigerians to have a better Nigeria. And if we are successful in achieving this vision, we can build a beacon that will lift our country to be a better one. And power, according to the Nigerian contextual meaning, is the supply of electricity for domestic, commercial, and industrial consumption. And the contemptible situation of Nigerian power is surrounded around some factors. One of these factors is lack of investment in infrastructure. The second one is poor governance. The third one is corruption. And lastly is mismanagement of resources in the government and power sector. And for you to tackle the issue of lack of investment in infrastructure, I think Nigeria needs to invest in modernizing its power plants, transmission lines, and distribution networks. Nigeria so far have 23 power plants to its name that have the capacity of producing 11,165 megawatts. But currently, we are producing just 5,000 megawatts. This is where my points come in, as the issue of lack of investment in infrastructure. Nigeria has the largest power plant in West Africa. That is the Egbin Thermal Power Plant in Lagos, that has the capacity of producing over 1,000 megawatts. Now, if we have the capacity to feed our neighboring countries with electricity, then why we Nigerians will be crying of poor electricity distribution? And for Nigeria to tackle the issue of corruption and mismanagement, Nigeria needs to strengthen its regulatory framework, improve governance structure, and enhance transparency in decision making. Let there be transparency in governance. Let's remove out sentiment. Let's remove out our personal needs and build our country to be a better one. Nigeria have the capacity of supplying its fellow citizens with the adequate electricity and even feed the neighboring countries. But today, reverse is the case. If we are to invest in upgrading our power plants, providing the adequate electricity required by Nigerians, it will boost our economic system, and our youth will have job opportunity. The rate of unemployment will reduce, and high rate of crime as well will reduce. And if our fellow leaders that are occupying position of taking care of the power sector remove selfish interests and focus on developing our country, Nigeria will be a better nation. Let's invest in infrastructure and technology. Let's develop a policy that will harness and enhance transparency in our government. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, the Executive Governor of Bauchi State. Do you have a question for him?
Okay. What do you think? What do you think of the default billing system adopted by NEPA, which was passed down to the new power distribution company? Do you understand me?
No, come again with the question.
What do you think of the default billing system of NEPA that has been adopted by NEPA? That billing system that they normally charge, those charges they normally give to us. What do you think of it now that it has been passed down to power distribution company? Should it be outlawed or should it just continue?
It should continue.
The billing system should continue?
Yes.
Oh, really?
The billing system should continue because it will help in boosting our economy, and it will help in generating funds to maintain the power plants that have been dilapidated for over decades.
Okay, if you said it should continue, what do you say of someone that is using, maybe in his house? Okay, this is a house, right? Okay, what happens to someone that is using a device or a gadget that consumes 10 watts and someone that is using a gadget that consumes 1,000 watts? And at the end of the day, if you should say the billing system should continue, At the end of the day, they are paying the same amount. Do you think they're being fair to the one paying, consuming 10 watts?
Yeah, it's fair. If I have the capacity of installing appliances in my house that consumes high electricity.
Remember, your government is talking about fairness to everybody.
Yes.
Even to the common man.
Yes.
So if it is the common man and he's not having the capacity and he can only consume 10 watts in his house, you're telling me that the billing system for 10 and 1,000 watts should be the same and it should continue?
Yes, it should continue.
Yeah.
It should continue.
Mr. Nura, I think in that aspect...
because, sorry?
Yes.
Because if you are to go by the metering system, now, I know in the place I stay, you cannot get your prepaid meter at the rate of 70,000 naira. Now, what do you think of the common man who cannot afford that amount as well? Someone that is earning just 35,000 naira in a month, he have to feed his family, he have to pay his children's school fees. For those that don't have their own personal homes, they have to pay for house rent. And now you are coming back again to save and purchase prepaid meter.
Mr. Nura, I think you are not fair in this aspect because I stay in Niger State, and do you know that there are general system of billing when you are not using prepaid meter?
Yes, yes.
And there is a situation whereby someone who have not used light, or somebody who is out of town for almost how many months, but at the end of the month they give him the same 5,000 to someone who has been using light, and you think it's fair?
Okay, now coming back to the case of using prepaid meter, as you recharge, the higher you consume the light, the faster it will go. Now, me having a deep freezer in my house, having a pressing iron, and maybe I am blessed, someone wish to give me air conditioner to fix in my room. Using these 3 appliances, how much do you think I can recharge my prepaid meter to sustain me for a month?
So are you still telling me that someone who has not used a light for over a month should still pay the same 5,000 naira using the old system of billing?
No.
So how do you intend to improve that?
That is where the poor governance come in. Corruption and mismanagement comes in.
So what is your government going to do to improve on that if you want to maintain the
billing system? Are you to outlaw it, or you are to continue billing people unnecessarily?
I am not going to outlaw it. Okay. Rather, I will try my best in improving the power supply.
How?
Yes, by fixing our dilapidated power plants that are not in function.
It's like you're not understanding the question. I am using 10 watts. You are my neighbor.
Yes.
I'm using 10 watts.
Okay.
Yes. Then you are using 1,000. Okay. At the end of the month, they said I am paying 5,000 naira, and you are also paying 5,000 naira. That is a flat rate, in which I just use 10 watts. So, and you're telling me that it's okay like that, it's fair, they are being fair?
You know, every leader have his own policy.
Oh.
Now, if I try to get you right, you are trying to convince me to accept your policy.
No, I'm only asking you a question. Is it fair? Are you going to outlaw such billing, outrageous billing, or you're going to change it, or you allow it to continue in your own government as the next president?
Okay, now, if I should ask you, if you are in my position, will you adopt the metering system or the billing system?
She's not contesting for president.
I'm not contesting for the next president.
I'm telling her my view and my policies. She's trying to convince me to accept her own view of policies.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
The executive governor.
Actually, I'm going to adopt the billing system.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yes, thank you.
It's obvious that you feel that your government knows what it's going to do.
Yes.
And which has to do with poor governance. Okay. Now, my issue is in the aspect of corruption.
Okay.
Okay, how do you intend to tackle out? What measures can you use in tackling out corruption when it comes to power sector?
Good. Nigeria is operating under democracy. We are operating democratic system of government where we have equality before the law, and there should be a proper investigation. You should have an auditory committee that will be auditing the affairs of the power sector at most every 3 months. And whosoever violates the rules of the ministry should be fired. Because you cannot be billing poor Nigerians on what they are not consuming. Now, in this sense, everyone should rely on his salary and take his eyes off the funds that are supposed to be used in maintaining the infrastructure and building modern ones for us to have adequate power supply. So now, in the policy that I'm going to adopt in tackling corruption and mismanagement of fund is that whosoever is caught mismanaging the funds of the power sector will be prosecuted.
Thank you very much, the Executive Governor of Bauchi State.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Nura Magaji. And I'm going to advise you the way I'm advising other contestants is to work more on your vote, and also the social media and tackling Srtv is very, very important. These are part of the requirement the judges are going to check. And we wish you the best as we keep going and moving in this context.
Thank you
All
very
the
much.
best.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Are you contesting for president? Okay, next is Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. Can you kindly please introduce yourself, your manifesto, and your presentation under 10 minutes?
All right, Your Excellencies, gentlemen of the press. I am Sheikh Saad Abubakar by name, the Executive Youth Governor of Nasarawa State. I was a one-term Senate President of the largest university in Sub-Saharan Africa, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. I was 2 times presidential candidate of a student union leader of my state. I was a coordinator of West Africa Student Against Drug Abuse. I was a manager of a provision company. So that is a brief introduction of myself. I've served in both public and private sectors. My manifesto is simple, under the platform of Union of Democrats, with the slogan "Serving for Results." I'm committed and my team to ensure we restore the trust of democratic institutions and to make Nigeria a shining beacon of hope and progress by prioritizing the unity of the country, that is, utilizing the diversity we have of the country, not just by acknowledging the diversity, prioritizing education, that each and every one, children, young and old, will have access to good quality education, irrespective of social class, prioritizing security, to reform the security architecture of the country by bringing on board the stakeholders of all nooks and crannies, that is from the religion bodies, traditional rulers, and government office holders, and also to prioritize justice, criminal justice reform under security architecture. My administration will be committed to prioritize also industrialization, agriculture, economy, health, and many more. So, the issue of power supply in Nigeria cannot be, the problems we face in the power supply in Nigeria cannot be overemphasized, because the last time I checked, about 86 million Nigerians have no access to electricity. So in a country where we have more than 200 million population, this is to tell you that only about 120 or so that have access to electricity. And this is not a total access to electricity, because the electricity is not stable or is not constant. So the challenges we face in power sector cannot be overemphasized. It must be prioritized, because without prioritizing power sector, even our goal of industrialization cannot be achieved. Because without electricity, industrialization will be very, very difficult. And even agriculture, because in the modern agriculture, you need electricity in order to be able to meet the demands of the country through agriculture. So for the past 50 years, the Nigerian president has not been succeeding on the power sector, and it is, I can simply say it is through three angles, which are generation, transmission, and distribution. Currently, Nigeria has about 30 megawatts installed generation capacity, but unfortunately, only about 4 to 5 are active. So this is due to the poor supply of gas, because the power generation in Nigeria solely depends on gas and hydropower. So it is due to poor supply of gas. The supply of gas is very, very inefficient, which makes the generation to be very, very difficult. So in a country where you have 13 megawatt generation, installed generation capacity, and only 4 to 5 can be generated, you have to first resolve how you can be able to meet the demand of reaching the generation of this 13 megawatts, about 13 megawatts, before you even talking about how to increase the installed generation capacity. So in that case, there must be a political will, readiness, and all hands must be on deck to make sure that there are full supply of gas to the power station, so much so that the power generation will be increased from at least 6 to 7 in short term, and at long term we'll reach the demands of the 13 megawatts, about 13 megawatts. Then we can start discussing how we can be able to increase the installed generation capacity in the power sector. And recently there are about completed power stations, but due to lack of, or let's say poor supply or insufficient supply of gas generation, they could not be able to function. So the next one we have is the transmission. So transmission is one of the critical areas that must be looked into, because with the current transmission equipment, even if we have the full supply of gas and hydropower to the 30 megawatts, about 30 megawatts installed generation capacity we have, we can only be able to transmit just about 5 to 6,000 megawatts of electricity. So there is a need of political will, and we have the funds, the country have the resources to be able to increase the transmission channel of this electricity. So the next one, which is the headline, that is the distribution, and it appears to be the most challenging aspect, and that is why about 86 million Nigerians doesn't have access to electricity. In 2013, 11 companies was privatized. The transmission sector was privatized by 11 companies, by federal government with 11 companies, which 60% of them are private companies, and 40% are to control by the government. But the most challenging thing